Welcome to Gatecrashers, a podcast dedicated to kicking open the door to your next favorite thing. Our mission, our creed, and our code is this: to make all things nerdy more approachable and accessible to everyone. We want you to find a universe that you'll fall in love with. Today I'm joined by the Ringo and Eisner Award-winning writer of Bitterroot, On the Stump, The Quiet Kind, and the upcoming Black Manta series at DC Comics, Chuck Brown. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm great. Very excited to talk with you. I got to check out your 80th story and then the first issue of the actual Black Manta series, which was incredible.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So I'm very pumped to chat about the character with you.
Okay.
So normally we do start off pretty much every interview with a hard-hitting journalistic question. So I hope you're prepared.
Yeah.
What's your favorite sandwich?
My favorite sandwich. Wow, that's a good one. I'm a pretty simple guy. I just like a hoagie, you know?
All right. What kind of hoagie though? Like do you have a go-to?
No, just, ham, turkey, cheese, tons of mayo, honey mustard, that kind of thing.
All right.
Yeah. I'm a simple guy.
So Black Manta has a very long history as a character. What drew you to Black Manta? Like, what made you want to write him?
I've been fascinated with the guy for years. Just as a villain in general. And then it's just kind of like in layers. I fell in love with the character. First realizing that he's just a regular human. That going against this, godlike, hero of the sea. And then, I don't remember when I don't know if it was in my 20s or whenever, but I realized he was black, and that blew my mind. I was like, oh, he's black, and he's named Black Manta, of course. And from there, I became even more fascinated with the character. And then I saw some of his first appearances in the 70s, where he actually says in the book, why do they think they call me Black Manta? I'm taking Atlantis for my people, in a sense. And that just, took me over the top with my obsession with him. And I'm a huge fan of villains. I love a villain, I love a good bad guy. And with that, my love of Black Manta, his look, his origins, I really just wanted to write him for a very long time. And, as things progressed and I did, Bitterroot and On the Stump and built relationships at DC, every time I talk to someone, I mention Black Manta. And eventually it's like, hey, there's a short coming up, we've been interested in doing the short. I did the short. And then, of course, I was greenlit for a miniseries, and here we are, man.
So with the writing villains, sometimes some people try to humanize them and things like that. Was there any difficulties in writing a character who's kind of a shut-in, who's really never had his own book?
It was a little difficult, but I think that's where I guess the plot of the story kind of comes in to somewhat bring him out of his shell, so to speak. And also his supporting characters like Gallows and Torrid, and the fact that, Jackson is his son. Jackson may not be necessarily in my series, but the fact that he has this son out there that's the sidekick of his greatest enemy, all that, that's a lot of good material to kind of build this character up, bring him out of the shell, bring him into the light, and, have characters like Gallows be somewhat of his moral compass in a sense, She's by no means a saint, but she sticks with Black Manta in a sense, I guess, in a way, as a way of thanking him for making her who she is today. She's almost like his protege in a sense,
So Gallows is going to be an important part of the series as well?
Absolutely, yeah.
Just so you said she's kind of like his moral compass. Are they foils to one another in any way? Are they different clashes between them?
Absolutely. in the character is a pirate and a broker, of course, his broker, and she's about um, making money, making power moves. She learned everything she knows from Black Manta, but as we know, Black Manta is a villain through and through, and she's more of a businesswoman thrust into this life in a sense, but she is loyal to him. So his, murderous nature is somewhat of a conflict to who she is at her core, in a sense. So there's definitely a lot of clashing between those characters, and that's some of my favorite scenes, writing them not seeing eye to eye,
You did mention he's kind of a villain to his core. With your series being like his first, are you trying to have readers empathize with him, or are you trying to stay and like he is a villain?
I definitely want people to empathize with him. I want them. Speaking for myself, we've all done villainous things in our past, in a sense. We've all made mistakes. Not necessarily, blowing up in an embassy or anything, but obviously we've all made mistakes. We've all been in very dark places in our lives. And that's kind of what I'm saying about Black Manta. He has been in a very dark place. He lost his father, something that tethered him to this earth. Would he have been as bad as he is if his father hadn't died? Who knows? But I do want people to empathize with the character, but at the same time, I do want to stay true to the fact that he is a villain. And I also would like him to make that, that transition to anti-hero in a sense, and kind of fall into that Deathstroke category type thing, Deadshot type thing, where these people are villains, but they kind of fall into the category of anti-hero. And Black Man has never quite had that opportunity to cross over into that world before, to show more layers to his life and who he is and what he can be,
Yeah. And honestly, he didn't have a full name up until Brightest Day, if I recall correctly. Like, he's someone who deserves the day to people to understand him. How are you as a writer approaching humanizing him? Like, are there things that you're trying to angle in at?
Struggle, basically. Growing up with very little resources and opportunities in life, you make decisions. They may not be the best decisions, but you have to make those decisions just to survive, in a sense, without opportunities and resources that other people may have. And that's true for a lot of people in this world,
Yeah.
And that's something that I hope people can kind of relate to David Ide,
Do you have a worry that when you write a story like this, where you humanize the character, that he's no longer kind of going to be feared or things like that, or do you not want that for him moving forward?
I do want that for him moving forward. I think the way things have progressed and where I am in the book right now, I'm pretty confident people will still tremble at the name of Black Manta, when this is all said and done. He's that guy that will do what needs to be done, in a sense, if ever need be, if Aquaman needed something, unspeakable done that he can't touch or be around, the anti-hero I'm developing here would be that person to call on. Of course, it would have to be in his own self-interest as well, but he would be that character that can get things done and strike that fear into people and still be that scourge and assassin of the sea, but with more complex history and layers to his life and who he is and who he is,
Yeah, and like, what do you think are the core tenets of the character of Black Manta? Like, what do you think makes him him?
I think his One, I think, is his obsession with power. Um, in his mind, the lack of power, the way I'm developing him now,
Mm-hmm.
in his mind, the lack of power is weakness. You know, without power, without influence, you are weak, you are vulnerable, you know, and that's why he drives himself to amount so much power and strength. And if someone is an affront on you or attacks you or hurts you or opposes you, they must be eliminated. They must no longer exist. You know, that's early Black Manta. But I'm also kind of progressing in a sense where he can see that gray area in a sense where, you know, fighting with his foe for decades, you know, well, not decades, but for years and years, what is it accomplishing? You know, that's constant cycle and that constant circle. And he's starting to see that it is somewhat pointless and it is kind of counterproductive to him amassing his power and maintaining his strength.
Do you think that Manta has moved past his almost vengeful relationship with Aquaman, or is he still hates him?
He still hates him, no doubt. He still hates him, no doubt. But as you can see in issue 1, it's something he has to put aside just to survive and find out what the hell's going on in his world, because his world and his life is crumbling right now. And he's somewhat at death's door. So he has to put these things aside and go on his quest to basically save his life. I love the character. I think he's very powerful. I think he's very complex, but he's also selfish. You know, he cares about number one. And I think that's kind of what starts him on his journey to hopefully go beyond caring about number one. He's not trying to worry about Aquaman right now and the fact that he's almost basically raising his son. He cares about basically surviving now and find out what's happening in the world, you know, to himself and to others. Himself first, of course. But no doubt there is still hate in his heart for this man.
Yeah. So you think like most of his life has kind of been with these blinders of anger and he hasn't really had time to kind of look at himself?
Absolutely. He killed his dad, you know, killed his father in front of him, you know, and that, you know, I can't imagine what that would do to someone in the real. You know, I think it's a really great story. The movie, I went to the first movie with reservations and I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was an amazing film. And the scene where Black Manta lost his father in the sea, you know, you really cared. Even though he murdered those people on the sub, you know, when he was trying to get his dad from under that torpedo, and he's crying out for Aquaman to help him. You know, you kind of felt for that character.
Yeah,
he watched his father die. So the amount of rage that would put in your heart, I can't even imagine. You know, if someone took my child or my wife or something from me, you know, what would that do to me? You know, I would obsess for the rest of my days about the person that took that person away from me, you know?
Absolutely.
So you can't blame him. You can't blame him. Yeah.
No, I think the film does a really good job of delivering that too, because in most of like the different shows and things like that, you don't really understand that Aquaman killed his dad. So like that has to change a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, how do you think Manta feels about his son being the protege to his greatest enemy?
Oh, I think it breaks his heart. You know, I think it eats away at him. I mean, there's a ton of source material, but I don't think he's truly expresses how much it broke his heart in the books. But I think it really eats away at him. You know, that's you know that's his family, you know, after, you know, the man that took his grandfather from him, and now you're following in your enemy's footsteps. So
do you think that David has any want to maybe change to get his son back, or is it something that like he hopes that his son is going to change to join him?
I think he wants I think he wants that relationship,
Mm-hmm.
And I think he honestly has no idea how to get there. He knows he's not going to change. He knows the hate in his heart isn't going to be extinguished, and I think he knows the virtue and morals of his son. And even if he saw his son, turning more his ways, that would probably freak him out as well. But in the upcoming pages, it's all about situations in life, or impending doom, or something that's in the interest of just keeping your son or keeping your father alive, that will maybe somehow bring them closer, in a sense. And that's things I'm trying to unfold in this book and maybe set up something for the future.
And, and in the first issue, like another question, a side section about Jackson, does he feel that Jackson is his legacy, or does he see him as tainting his family name because he is a hero?
He doesn't see him as his legacy because he is a hero. He is a hero. He cares about people. He puts his life in harm's way for the greater good. And I don't think Jackson really wants to associate with the C's greatest supervillain. And I think Manta is aware of that, which is why he speaks of his legacy, because he sees his life coming to an end. And like he wants his legacy to be that of a father, that had a relationship with his son. But it's like we're talking here now. He has no idea how to get there.
Yeah.
He just knows it's in him. And the fact that even acknowledging that, I think, in the book is a part of his character arc, is a part of his growth, to even acknowledge that he wants that.
Do you think it's just that he lacks the emotional tools to even communicate with his son properly?
That's a very good observation. I totally agree. I know personally I lack a lot of the emotional tools to communicate certain things to friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go deep into, but my siblings and we don't really say I love you to each other, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weird, we know it, but we don't really go around. We see them at Christmas. We're not gonna hug and kiss. Oh, I love you. That's not who we are, in a sense, and that's kind of how Black Manta is as well. And if I do write interactions with Black Manta and Hyde, I kind of want to use some of that aspects of that where it's understood. You're a villain. I'm a superhero. I'm Justice League. You're Legion of Doom. But at the end of the day, we are blood. We are Hyde. And I will die for you. I kind of want to have that kind of vibe going on.
That thing you said about the saying I love you, so this show actually started with my brother and I, and we don't ever say I love you or things like that, but like it's something you hope that people know. Like
right.
I love my brother more than anything, and like we've done all this stuff together, but sometimes it's hard to communicate that.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing Manta deal with kind of this whole idea of legacy is this comes out when the issue will be out. So do you think that Manta believes he is worthy of a legacy?
No, I don't think he does. Which is why he's writing the letter. He knows what he's done. He knows what he does. He knows what he'll do in the future. But he does care about how his son sees him. When he says legacy, I don't think he gives a damn about the world, what they see him as. But I think he cares about how his son and his future grandkids will see him, or his descendants will see him in the world. Not the heroes, not the villains, but blood. The one person in his life that's family.
So you do think that he doesn't care what anyone in the world thinks other than blood?
Right.
It kind of hurts to hear that he doesn't think he's worthy of legacy.
Right.
Now, Does Manta worry himself about things like morality in reference to things he's done? Like, I know he's writing this letter, but like, is this him coming to terms with the blood on his hands?
It's him acknowledging the blood in his hands. I guess he has questionable morality because he feels that the ends justifies the means in a sense, you know. Um, and then that's another great thing about Gallows. You know, it's almost like throughout the pages, the student becomes a teacher. You know, he doesn't really like I mentioned. He doesn't care about anyone, care about his legacy, but you know, he cares about Gallows deeply. You know, she's almost like the daughter he never had. You know, as if it's almost like if Jackson was there with him.
And it's not something he's going to tell her.
Right, absolutely not. No, and the same thing goes for her. She would never say the same thing to him. She's sticking throughout this insane mission, you know, and in her eyes, and to him and to us, she's basically a broker, you know, and she needs to keep her, you know, most powerful client alive and also earn some money along the way in this journey of theirs, you know. But she sees him as a father figure, sees him as a mentor, sees him as the man that saved her life, you know. And it's like he's not worried about what she thinks of his legacy because she knows him through and through. She knows his heart through and through, and they know that they are there for each other, and they know that they're somewhat family as well, you know.
The story seems to be revolving around this rock.
Right.
Is the rock itself symbolic of something for you, or is it just a story element?
Well, it's Rickland is in the archives, and it's, you know, I guess symbolically, the rock is just that calling, you know, that wake up call in your life, that dream that you chase or that obstacle you climb over, you know. These things literally can almost kill you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're powerful dreams, they're powerful obstacles, good or bad. But personally, these things are literally almost killed me, you know. So that kind of, in my opinion, that's kind of what Rickland represents. It's a real item in the DC universe, but that's what it kind of represents to me, and that's what it represents to David as well.
Now, so with Black Manta, as you said earlier, he is a black man. Do you think that plays into how the world views him in the DC universe?
Absolutely. I would say. I think a black man in DC universe is no different than a black man in America, you know, and you know that pretty much says it all in itself, you know.
Do you think someone sees him more ruthless as someone like Lex Luthor or Joker? Like, do they get different treatment because they are white?
I could be speculating, honestly. I haven't seen like the source material, but
yeah.
As far as me writing these books and maybe writing future stuff, I do think there is more fear when it comes to Black Manta, you know. And again, there's this unspoken, unreasonable fear of black men in this world, you know. Black women absolutely have their challenging obstacles as well, but there's also this unreasonable fear of us, and I think that carries over into this character in the DC universe. I mean, people fear Lex Luthor or the Joker, but just Black Manta's very presence just demands respect, and it also just inspires fear in people. And even without the mask, even without with its costume on, I mean, it's a terrifying costume, you know, terrifying looking character, very menacing, you know. So, to answer your question, I think there is a certain higher level of fear when it comes to this character. Yeah.
Yeah. To take it back to something a little like not as gravitas, we see Manta have some different like tools and equipment and ships and stuff in the first issue. Is that something you want to explore in the series, like different kind of toys he's got?
Yeah, I definitely want to show him more as that, techie superhero, the James Bond of the sea in a sense, the black underwater Batman in a sense,
Yeah.
So it's definitely something I do tinker with a lot in the series, and it also some things that the villain also, he takes it to another level with the tinkering and the scientific know-how as well.
So, sorry, I'm just trying to formulate this one. The James Bond thing, that's something I thought of when I see him jumping off of the speedboat.
Mhm.
Are there any major themes that you're trying to play with in the Black Manta miniseries?
Themes?
Yeah. Like, is there anything that inspired you as well?
I'm just a huge fan of Hugh Jackson scenes. Like we mentioned before, that the whole swashbuckler in a sense, adventurer, globetrotting adventure. I love a little bit of comic relief. I know, even though it's a serious character, but I love a little bit of comic relief throughout the book. Lots of tech and magic and mystery, and kind of discovering this deeper level of lineage and mystery in the book. That's kind of the things I like to play with in all my stories, and that's kind of following suit here in Black Manta.
I'm excited to hear there's more comedy, because there's a line, I think it's in the 80th, where Gallows says underwater snuff film, and like I had to put my iPad down because I could not stop laughing because it was like so brilliant.
Oh, thank you, man! Awesome.
And before I get to our big final question, do you approach writing differently for one of the big two rather than your own creator-owned comics?
Not at all. No, I pretty much approach it all the same. Trying to build a plot, build a story around something I want to say about the world or something about myself. The only things where things really kind of get different is when you start turning in scripts, and they can't say, you can't do that, you can't say that.
Yeah.
That's too far. You can't decapitate him. This is a DC. I was like, oh, sorry. Sorry. That things of that sort, things I kind of forget about and lose myself. Because when I'm thinking, Black Manta, I'm gonna have him be Black Manta. So that was the only challenge, where it's like, you gotta kind of find a way around that for standards and practices. That's pretty raw, dude. So I was like, oh, that's cool. But other than that, my approach is pretty much the same. I just dig in, start having fun, and just try to craft the best story I can, man.
Yeah, and listen, this first issue is unbelievable. It's so cool, and like the art is awesome.
Val and Marissa and Clayton are gods, man. I mean, I do not mind being the weakest link among that team. They are amazing, dude.
Everything is firing at all cylinders over there. So before I let you go, if you had a Rube Goldberg machine,
wouldn't?
So a Rube Goldberg machine is a machine that is an overcomplicated machine. So like, let's say a marble gets knocked down, rolls into a domino, the dominoes roll, they knock a ball, and it all ultimately does one simple task. So if you could do one thing to remove a simple task in your life, what would it be?
If I could do one thing to remove a simple task, what would the simple task I would do to remove?
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a good question. Let's see. Well, I'm bald, or balding. So when I go out in public, I have to shave my head. So if I could no longer shave my head every day, that would be absolutely amazing. So shaving my head, yes, that
might get a little dangerous, but it seems like it's worth it.
Totally worth it. A helmet or something. Press the button and let it do things.
Yeah, I feel like that could go horribly wrong, but listen, I'm not a doctor, so see what happens.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So, do you have any other projects coming up that you wanted people to check out?
I don't know if I can talk. Nothing I can talk about, unfortunately. I do have an image book coming out. It may be late this year or early next year. And I'm collaborating with Prezi again. We worked on The Stump. So that's happening. I am doing some NFT stuff, which I'm not sure if I could talk about. Oh, I could talk about Red Sonja. I'm writing a Red Sonja comic book with and Dynamite, an anthology series, and that was really
Nice.
my first time dabbling with that character. And that's about it, working on Black Manta 1 through 6 and have some announcements after that in the near future.
Good to hear.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
You can find me at oguninc.com. It's OGOUNINK.com. And you can subscribe to my newsletter to find out what I'm up to and what I'm doing, and follow me on Twitter.
You can find us at gatecrashers.fan and on all social media platforms at gatecrasherspod. Thanks, and see you next week.
Thank you.
Gatecrashers.